And that's all I have.
Okay. Any other business? Okay. The way I want to open this up for public comment is I know a lot of you are here because of the financing, and so I'm going to have our legal counsel explain it all. And if you have questions, we'll take questions on that first. If you have questions on any other topic, let's wait until after we get all the financing questions out of the way first.
In anticipation of some questions about the financing, I put together a fact sheet, and it's just over 3 pages. It's 3 1/4 pages long. I only printed out 25 because I didn't expect more than 25. Usually nobody comes.
Yes, that's true.
So, I'm going to ask some of you to share.
Maybe we could put this summary on our website, on the Woodmen Hills website.
That'd be great.
Documents, yeah.
On the documents. So
Yeah.
that,
I'll need to get one.
okay, all right.
Well, after the meeting, I'll send you one electronically tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it may even need to be proofread because I threw this together as I was running out of my
So
office.
did everyone hear that? This document that Mr. Lewis is handing out, I've asked that it be put on the Woodmen Hills District website under documents so that everyone can read it.
And that's under, where is documents? It's under Board of Directors and then documents?
Information and then
Information,
documents.
okay. Quiet, please. It's under Information and then Documents if you want to look for it online.
Yeah, it will be there eventually. Days, I hope.
Wait till it leaves.
Yeah.
It'd be good, I think, if you put roundtable notes on the site too, where you guys put the board meetings.
Okay.
minutes. How about some roundtable feedback so people can know what's being talked outside of board meetings?
Okay.
All right, we ready? Everybody got their handouts? Okay. The purpose of the handout is to try and correct what I think is a great deal of misinformation that is going around. And so I'll just try to take this point by point. I start with Roman numeral 1 and I call it the big picture. And what I want to point out is that the 2016 refinancing reduced the interest rate from 8% to around 2.75%. That's quite an interest rate decrease. Furthermore, the previous financing, which was done in 2009, was essentially the district paying interest-only payments. And so it did not allow the district to begin reducing the debt. And it did not allow the district to begin reducing the amount it owed on the lease purchase financing. So the 2016 refinancing actually allows the district to start amortizing the amounts that it owes. So, going then to Roman numeral 2, if you would, the district is not $35,000 or $35,000.
Million.
Missed a few zeros there. The district is not $35 million in debt. The district's service plan allows only $16.2 million in debt. The 2016 refinancing does issue bonded indebtedness, which is debt. And it issues that bonded indebtedness in the amount of $16.2 million. Now, there's a second component to the 2016 refinancing, and that is what I call lease purchase financing. Now, let's go back to 2009, and the district in 2009 did a combination of financing then just as it did now. And if you want to look at the 2009 financing documents, go to the district's website. They're there. And you'll see there's two types of financing. Debt financing in the form of bonds, which is debts, and lease purchase financing, which is not debt. Okay. So, the 2016 refinancing did $16.2 million in bonds and $19.25 million in lease purchase financing. Some of that $19.25 million went to retire the 2009 lease purchase financing. Of that $19.25 million, $11 million in cash is being held in trust at UMB Bank in Denver to be used only for the construction of the new sewer plant, which, as you know, is mandated by the Colorado Department of Health and Environment. So the district cannot touch that money, cannot use that money for any purpose other than to construct that sewer plant. Okay. Let's go to, on page 1 still, Roman numeral 2, letter B, number 2. Lease purchase financing is not debt. Number 3, Colorado Supreme Court has declared that lease purchase financing, sometimes that you may have heard referred to as COPs, they're not debt. It said this in 2 decisions. One decision pre-Tabor Amendment, which you're all familiar with, I'm sure, and the second decision post-Tabor. All debt financing, regardless whether it's done by the state, the county, the city, a district like Woodmen Hills, anytime a district wants to go into debt, it must do so pursuant to the vote of the people. So why didn't you? The reason you didn't is because this district was formed as a dirt district. That's the term we use in the industry. And at that time, it only had 1, maybe 2 or 3 owners. They did a vote. Perfectly legitimate, lawful vote. This is the way dirt districts are formed. So, the $16.2 million in the 2016 refinancing did not need to go to you. But now I want you to ask yourself this. I see somebody with a question.
I do have a question. If the board now decides, for instance, to change that number, that 16.2 million, at that point in time, are we then having to vote for that? Will it come to a vote at that point if there's changes being put in place?
2 things would have to happen. 1, the Board of County Commissioners would have to approve the amendment of the service plan to allow it to go into debt. And secondly, there would have to be a vote of the people. And this time, it would be the everybody.
But doesn't that mean that we would have a mill levy too?
No. No, there are different types of debt financing.
Okay.
And the type of debt financing you do is called revenue bond financing. So you're pledging the revenues of the district. You are not using a property tax. That's one of the advantages of this district, is you don't have a property tax. A property tax is not authorized under your service plan. So if the board wanted to have a property tax, 1, the service plan would have to be amended to allow it, and 2, it would have to go to a vote of the people.
Would it also
On
need to
that
be,
vote of the people, what happens if all the people don't get the information about the vote?
Oh, but you would, because whenever there is to be a debt election, there are very specific requirements in in the state constitution and state statute that require that every eligible elector receive notice. You will receive, in fact, 2 notices before you will ever receive a ballot.
would the county have to approve that as well to take on, a mill levy? Would that require?
No, it would only, well, the service plan would have to be amended, and then there would have to be a vote of the people, and it would be the eligible electors within Woodmen Hills,
Okay, the county wouldn't be involved in that.
other than to approve the service plan.
Okay,
But
so
the-
the service plan would have to be amended. The Board of County Commissioners would have to approve the new service plan, and then it would go out to the voters, and they would have the final say.
Woodmen Hills voters.
So Woodman Hills voters would have the final say.
Right.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Can it be only registered voters that can vote?
Yes, whoever is an eligible elector for the district, number one, you have to be an eligible elector in El Paso County, and then you have to be an eligible elector as set forth in Title 32, which means you have to reside here. You don't have to own property to vote. You have to reside here. Okay, so,
Does that say that the military personnel that are here temporarily cannot vote?
No, renters, right? If you rent.
There's a lot of military people.
Oh, there's a lot of their home of record is different? Yeah.
Well, a lot of us choose to keep our home of record.
Right, no,
We're active
yeah, that's right,
duty,
so
so
that's
that's
where
where
it's
we
military,
vote.
so military can't vote.
and,
Even though we have a huge military population?
well, and
Bought a
you,
house, we can't vote?
That's their choice. My husband can't vote here.
one,
He chooses.
you have to be an eligible elector here in the state of Colorado.
Which means registered voter.
Which means a registered voter.
That's what I think you need to say.
You're right. You're right. I'm using technical jargon.
Yeah.
I should say registered.
Registered voter.
So you have to be a registered voter in Colorado, and if you're military, take that up with the clerk and recorder. They will take you through those statutes. If you're a military person and you want to become a registered voter in Colorado. Okay, that's not a function of this board.
But renters, who are civilians who work here, registered voters here, they don't have to own property, they can still vote for district business.
Yes.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Right, then renters are not penalized. Okay, so back on debt. And I promise I'll move faster here.
Take your time.
I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time El Paso County or the city of Colorado Springs ever put a debt question to the people? And the answer is they don't, says the nice lady in the back. The reason they don't is because almost no local jurisdictions in Colorado go to a vote of the people to get debt financing to do capital construction. The way they do it is through lease purchase financing. So, if any of you have been to the Citizen Service Center up on Garden of the Gods, owned by El Paso County, that's lease purchase financing. If you've been downtown to the courthouse, for good reasons, I hope, you're going to the Terry R. Harris Judicial Complex. Terry's not dead, by the way.
Falcon Fire Station, right here.
Falcon Fire Station, lease purchase financing, the Terry R. Harris Judicial Complex downtown, the expansion and modernization of it, lease purchase financing. The jail, the county jail off Las Vegas, never go there. It was expanded and modernized using lease purchase financing. How do I know that? Because my signature's on every one of them. The U.S. Olympic Committee headquarters building downtown, done by the city of Colorado Springs. It's lease purchase financing. My signature's not on that one. Nice lady in the back.
Sir, can you please quickly explain what a lease purchase actually is? Because when you say lease, a lot of people might think this is lease with an option to own. And if that's really true, then can you kind of explain the differences between lease purchase and buying outright?
I will do that. And in fact, it comes later on in the outline, but let's do it now.
Thank you, because you're talking about it. So.
Okay. I will bet many of you in this room have gone to a car dealership and walked away with a lease.
Anyone who listens to financial advisor Dave Ramsey knows that leases can be horrible, horrible idea.
I
And a way
know.
to cover and a way to put a kind of wax over the whole
Never-ending
debt.
debt, like using a lease to pay off another lease.
But the lease purchase financing I'm talking about to build public improvements is no different. The structure of it is no different than going into a car dealership and walking away with a car lease.
But you pay a lot more when you're doing it that way.
The interest rate is higher, in fact, when you do lease purchase financing as opposed to when you do debt financing. There is no question about it, but the differential's not that
Who
great.
owns the lease?
Who owns the lease? The lease is owned by a trust. The trust is UMB Bank in Denver. It is the same trust that holds the $11 million to build the sewer plant.
So what's the other 8 million for?
The other $8 million would have been used to retire the pre-existing certificates from the 2009 refinancing.
Okay, so that lease was to pay off that other debt.
Part of it.
Part of that other debt.
Part of it was used to pay off some of the bonded, I believe some of it was used to pay off some of the bonded indebtedness, and the rest of it was used to pay off the 2009 lease purchase financing.
Okay, and we're still at $16.2 million debt.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so the lease was used to pay off some of that debt, but the debt is still at $16.2 million.
I'd have to look at the closing statements. You could be right.
According to everything that was sent out, including what you've written down here, that is correct.
It could be.
But next year, that won't be the true statement because we're now paying down that debt. Whereas in the 2009 financing, we weren't. We were only paying interest.
No, I understand. The interest-only finance is what caused the 2008 bubble.
So we're not doing that
housing.
now.
No, we're
Right.
not doing that now.
Correct.
Now we're paying on principal.
Right. Correct. Correct. Yes.
So after this lease, I don't know how long this lease is for, but after you lease a car, you generally give the car back at the end of your lease. Is that what happens with this wastewater treatment plant? Or
No.
are we going to own it at the end?
No.
The district?
This financing, the 2016 refinancing, will last for 10 years. It will pay down a substantial amount, but it will in fact have to be refinanced.
Do
Now,
you know about how much? You don't have
no, I
any
don't.
finance?
The way the documents are written, however, the district will keep functioning.
Okay. And
Okay.
they'll be able to do more payments if they can, without penalties?
Yes.
Okay.
If the refinancing is not completed by the end of year 10, the interest rate will go up slightly until a new refinancing package is entered into. But during that 10-year period, the amounts owed are being paid down,
Yeah. Sorry.
which has not happened before.
I read today that this has to be renewed annually by the board, this lease agreement. What happens if either the board or the trust other party doesn't agree to renewal? What happens to it and all the money we put into the plant then?
Well, the trust has no managerial authority.
Okay, I don't know who the other party is that we're paying this all back to.
Well, there are three parties. There is the district, the trust, and Key Government Finance, which is a division of Key Bank, and they're the ones who provided the money. I see your hand. I'll be with you in just a moment, ma'am. And so, okay, lease purchase financing is structured so that every year the lease has to be renewed. And that is per the Colorado Constitution, both pre-Tabor and post-Tabor.
Okay.
And that's for every lease purchase in the state of Colorado. If it would not be renewed, the district would not lose its infrastructure. It's just the trust would come in and essentially, well, the district managers would still be in place, the district board would still be in place, but now the trust, which has an obligation to represent Key Finance, would now become part of the managerial decision-making process.
That was the three, he said, Key Bank, USB Trust, and someone else.
Right. But that would be a doomsday scenario, and I'm not aware of that ever happening in Colorado.
I just
And I've been
like to
doing this a
know
long
about
time.
what to expect.
Sure, I'm trying to educate you on that, because I think this stuff is fun. Ma'am?
I may have missed this, but what are we leasing?
Well, what you are leasing is you're leasing some of the district's water rights, but not all. And you will be leasing the wastewater treatment plant when it is built. So those assets are what's called the collateral for the lease purchase financing. And all financing has collateral. Your home is collateral for your financing. Your car is collateral for your financing. In the case of lease purchase financing, the capital improvements are what are leased. And in exchange, the bank gives money for that, and then we lease it back. And that's where the money comes from.
We've been paying for something that we don't even have yet.
And we'll continually do it every 10 years or every year or whenever.
And then we pay
Well,
another
we
9
haven't
million
had
to redo this in 10 years.
I don't know the amount in 10 years, but it will have to be refinanced in 10 years, but you will have substantially paid down what the district owes, which has never been done before in the history of this district.
Sorry.
So that's a good thing.
Just to help you out, the reason we have to put up the money up front is because the health department requires us to keep on a certain timetable, and part of that is proving that we have the funds available to build the wastewater treatment plant before we start construction, so it doesn't get halfway through and then abandoned. So we have to prove up
for your loan
front.
before you buy a house. You have to show that you're good for it.
I couldn't have said that better myself.
Very good.
Well done.
Yeah.
Nice,
Any
madam.
other financing options at all, or does the state require us to do this leasing?
No, the state has no decision-making in it at all. It's just a matter of practicality. In Colorado, if you want to build a public improvement, you have 3 choices. 1, pay cash for it, which nobody does.
Yeah.
No government has that type of free cash laying around. 2, you do debt financing. Or 3, you do lease purchase financing. Everybody does the lease purchase financing. Because what you're doing is you're then paying for the asset out of your cash flow.
Right.
And oh, by the way, the cash flow comes from your rates that you pay. But with this financing, your rates aren't going up. They're not. So your
also
rates are going to go up by 0.
It's also being paid for out of tap fees.
And out of tap fees.
For houses that aren't built yet?
In
Houses
the
that
process of
will
being
be
built.
built.
Like Jed Grass is starting to come to life now, and
How can we keep building houses when we don't have enough water for the ones we have here? We have water restrictions now. How can we keep building all these houses?
we have water. We have enough water. We're just
Water-
being good stewards of the water.
But the water restrictions aren't, that's across the state, that's not just for the
Yeah.
district, right?
Let's stick with the financing first.
Let's see, that man had a question first, and then that nice lady in the back, then you, and then you. So I'm keeping track.
How many years this leasehold financed over?
10 years.
That's the term, but the overall payments.
The payments are, I believe, based on a 20-year amortization, which helps to keep them low, but still allows, for it to be amortized down.
So
But
essentially
in
one-
10 years, it must be refinanced.
So in one more renewal will be done then,
I mean, that,
essentially.
well, it depends on what type of financing package you put together and what the district's needs are at that time. So it's really difficult to say. So then, the nice lady in purple.
So the gentleman on the end said that there was some land purchased or something like that. Is this part of that, whatever was purchased?
No land is being purchased as part of this.
Okay, then I wasn't quite clear what was purchased and for what reason then.
For a future storage tank, water storage tank, and it's 1 acre of ground.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was part of this or not.
No.
And then this nice lady here who,
Next?
yeah.
Okay. Are we sure that the new wastewater treatment plant's only gonna cost 11 million, or are we gonna end up having more debt on top of, or something to pay on top of that to subsidize it?
You know, Gene, you mind if I defer to you on that one?
We've used our best engineering estimates for that, but there's no guarantee because
Yeah, I know there's no guarantee.
the state has not approved the design of the plant yet. We're in that process right now.
Okay, so where will this new plant be built?
Exactly where the old one is right now on Meridian Ranch Boulevard in Stapleton.
We're gonna put a wastewater treatment plant right behind all the new.
There's currently a wastewater treatment.
That's where it's the same
Yeah,
place.
currently
one
I was
there
just
now.
kinda hoping it'd be moved so we wouldn't have to smell it anymore.
That's the idea, is because this new configuration,
Well, there'll be
there's no
storage,
smell.
water storage.
That's
That's
not
the
really a
point.
certainty with any wastewater treatment plants.
Gene,
Yeah.
What's that? I missed
we're talking
that.
about smell from the new plant.
Is the new plant gonna have any kind of smell at all?
I can't promise that, no.
That I'm a little concerned about, I'll be
Are
honest.
you gonna have a retaining wall, so when williams come by, it's not gonna take that smell and put it in somebody's backyard or a back window?
'Cause I gotta be honest,
That's
this
all
is what's
part of,
driving
that's all
down
part
values
of
right
some
now.
of the, that's all part of the design that we're going through right now with the state. We're having to do some odor mitigation.
Talk loud.
Odor mitigation from the front end where it goes through the screening process and all that. So there'll be odor control in there.
Now, is all the outside tanks gonna be covered, or are they always gonna be open where the evaporation?
There'll be storage ponds, water storage ponds, but the pond where the treatment is taking process will be covered.
Which is what we don't have now.
So, but the
Which we
storage
don't have.
Yeah,
pods
we-
that you're talking about, are those, that's what is going in or what came out?
What came out?
Okay.
And this is going to accommodate all the new homes and everything that's going up?
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
going to be large enough
Yes.
for everything that's going on?
That's correct.
Ma'am, and then,
The 2.75%, is that the 2.75% interest rate that we're gonna have that is fixed for the next 10 years? Or will that change during that time frame of the 10 years until we refinance?
it is fixed.
It is a fixed rate?
Yes, right. No variable during the 10 years.
Can I say
Go ahead.
this? I want to just say something here. Our last setup with this financing was at 8%. All right. Previous to the way that to what we're doing now, the board previous to us was paying 4% of the 8%. Okay? So 4% of that 8% interest was getting deferred. All right?
We kept building.
So we as a board wanted to get out of that as quickly as possible.
Negative M.
Yeah. We were building, you know, we're paying more and more and more and more and more.
Did we get penalized to get out of that?
No, we took
there was not actually.
No, $5 million discount.
Right. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of things that took place previous that has been reversed for the better, so that we can actually start paying down debt, because none of that debt was getting paid down at all.
So, I draw in color for a living and all these numbers are just like, If I'm understanding, the reason our rates aren't gonna go up is because our rates were based on that 8% interest, right? And now it got refinanced to 2.7. There's more to pay, but because the rate's lower, it kind of balanced out.
It kind of equals itself
Yeah.
out, yes.
That's
Yeah,
a
so
way
I
to
couldn't
say that.
understand why we didn't have like more, if we had like more.
Yeah, Bill, can you
Not
explain
debt.
also about in the bond documents about not reducing the fees? It's something it's part of the bond and the financing agreement that what we were allowed to borrow is based on our ability to pay and the rates that we are charging, right? The rate study?
Right.
Yeah.
The rate study that was done was provided to the lender, and they analyzed it and determined that the way the district rate structure is right now, they were willing to accept the deal. That's why your rates are not going up.
Or down.
And as you correctly said, it's also because the interest rate was higher, and so
It
it
was higher,
left.
so we were paying more interest, and then now we have more, not debt,
Obligation.
but because the rate's lower, then it equals out.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me, Counselor. That's what I'm not understanding that. So we refinanced to get a lower rate, and that's wonderful, but we didn't pay anything to refinance? I don't understand how that worked.
Well, yes, some of the total amount was used to pay the financing costs. That is true. But your rates aren't going up.
Yeah.
The 2009 refinancing is now paid off and gone, and you have cash in the bank to build the sewer plant. Yeah, I hope that helped.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I would like to clarify something, Bill. We keep saying rates won't go up. What we really mean is we didn't have to incur a special fee to do this.
Right.
That doesn't mean that rates are not going to increase in the future because of cost of living and things of that nature. So I just want to make sure everybody understands.
Did everybody hear that?
Rates, okay, there's this nasty thing called inflation. Okay, you can't do anything about it. Okay, rates may go up somewhat due to inflation, but they're not going to go up because of the refinance. They'll go up because of inflation.
And if I just can make a couple quick points, and then I can wrap up the formality of this. Something else that's going around is that there's a newly formed nonprofit controlled by evil developer Rusty Green. No. The district does have a nonprofit. El Paso County has a nonprofit. The city of Colorado Springs has a nonprofit that they use as a third party in lease purchase financing. But this time the third party is UMB Bank as the trustee. It is not the district's nonprofit facilities, public facilities corporation.
So just the consultant?
No, the nonprofit exists for one purpose and one purpose only.
The newsletter said that the consultant was
The consultant is Mr. Benjamin Green, and he is a board member of the nonprofit. But the nonprofit is out of this transaction.
It was in before the transaction.
It was in the 2009.
Not anymore.
But not anymore. They're gone. But
The
that
newsletter said that he was the consultant for this refinance.
He helped get us. He helped
Right.
facilitate this finance.
Right. The reason he was so critical to this is because in the 2009 refinancing, some of the district's obligations were held by, what was it, about 70 some odd people? 70 people who provided the startup capital for this district where you live to be formed. The 2016 refinancing took them out. They have been paid off. In fact, they took a $5 million discount to get paid off. So as the woman in the back said, did the district pay a penalty? No. The 70 some odd people who held the district's obligations are the ones who gave up $5 million of what they were owed to get cashed out. Owed.
Yeah.
To get cashed out. It was in their financial interest to do so.
Crappy deal.
Well, hold on for a second. So, my thought on that was, so now the district's obligations under the 2016 refinancing are held by one entity and one entity only. And that is Key Government Finance, a subsidiary of Key Bank. Now, this paper cannot be transferred to individuals. It could only be transferred to another financial institution, and that is because this paper is not was purposefully designed not to meet SEC obligations, so that it could not be held by individuals. Actually, that man in the back.
Who's doing the construction? There have been talks of improvements to these buildings and all this.
That's a Gene question.
It hasn't been out to bid yet.
So we haven't done a bid for the reconstruction of this or the new
None of it yet.
facility or anything like that?
Still in design phase.
The first step is to get ideas, okay, and to have the community agree, yes, this is a good idea, and so forth. Okay, then once that happens, then we call in architects, they come up with a design, and then, Gene, correct me if I'm wrong, then we get an idea of what it's gonna cost.
No, I understand that. So there'll be public forums and
Yes.
a public vote on
This
whether or
is-
not
these
we
are the
are
ones-
going
right,
to
yeah.
Right.
go forward with
Not a
these.
public vote.
Where are the flyers?
I
No,
mean,
we gotta
the
show
board
them.
No, it won't be a vote, but we'll take input from
Yeah,
residents, right?
we will take your thoughts, your ideas, your concerns into consideration for, yes, this is what's gonna go to rec center, CCW, RCE. Because they're your facilities. They
Right.
are your
We
facilities.
want to build them so that as many people can use them as possible.
No, I understand
Right.
that. Like I said, I was just curious as to.
Okay, no, you're the developer, like, so we don't know who the developer is gonna be yet for the wastewater, which is what the lease to.
You mean builder?
Builder.
Builder,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
We don't know that yet.
No.
Yes,
I've got a question for you. SDS, all the squabbling ended, it was turned on. Are we here in Falcon going to have use of SDS?
no, sir.
We won't. So we're tied into what other people were asking, just the well capacity.
That, yes, and we have 350 acre feet that we get from Cherokee Metropolitan District.
Huh?
We have an agreement from them that's clear back to 1999, I believe.
All right,
So,
thank you.
My last formal point, and it won't take me long to make, and then I'll shut up, was there were 3 law firms involved in this refinancing. One was Becker Stowe Partners. They are a very well-established public finance law firm in Colorado. Key Government Finance was represented by Kutak Rock, which is a nationally known public financing firm. Doesn't get any more conservative than Kutak Rock. And then I oversaw the district's interests, and I'm just okay. So the point of it is, very conservative, well-established law firms were involved in this transaction. It meets the highest standards of the industry. The district is very, very well protected. And this is a good thing for the district because it ends its status as a dirt district and turns it into a mature government entity. So I'm finished.
Counselor, so you're representing us now and in the future.
Unless you fire me.
Oh, no,
No,
we need
no.
you. You're great.
Janet?
So, I have a couple questions, sorry, but somebody mentioned the newly formed Woodmen Hills Public Facilities Leasing Trust. What is that? Is that the USB trust, but named
Correct.
something funny? For
Correct.
The heck of it?
Yeah. No.
Why does it have a name like that?
A trust?
Well, why is it named that when it's just the USB trust or the Key Bank trust or whatever?
Because we just wanted to tie it to this as opposed to calling it a UMB trust. UMB is a trust for many, many different things, and we wanted to tie it to this. For any of you who lease a car and you go home or in your glove box tonight, pull out your little registration slip and look to see what's on there. It'll be called a titling trust. No different than what the district is using in this financing.
Okay. And, sorry, you said that we have the 16.2 million in bonds that we're paying back. Is there a timetable that will be paid off, or is that going to be like the other loan thing when it's...
It'll have to be
It'll have
refinanced.
to be refinanced?
Yes, but it'll be being paid down.
Do we know what the full term of that would be, and when it's going to be due for refinancing? Like the other one is
Is that
10
the
years
same thing?
due, is
The
this
same
one also
thing,
due
I
10
think.
years?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, right.
10 years.
Yeah.
Micah?
Gene,
Yes.
question for you. You mentioned the improvement for the drainage between Rio Seco and I don't know what else.
Woodman Road
Uh,
or Woodman Hills Drive.
yeah, Woodmen Hills Drive. Today I was out talking to some of the residents along that drainage, and they all mentioned and they're concerned about replacement of trees. Is there a reason that the district isn't putting trees back along that?
There is, because it is a drainage way. And if we have the trees in the drainage way, when we get these big storms, it gathers debris